Good afternoon. My name is Margaret Nowicki, and I'm from the Department of Public Information. It's my pleasure to introduce the final session of the SDG Media Zone. This week's SDG Media Zone, a first for the UN General Assembly, was made possible by great collaboration between the United Nations Department of Public Information, the President of the General Assembly's Office, and the Executive Office of the Secretary General. Powered by Public Foundation and with the valuable support of the UN Foundation, the Zone has provided a creative opportunity for media professionals and digital influencers to create live content, connect and participate in initiatives organized around the SDGs during this high-level General Assembly week. If you missed any of the sessions, you can still catch them at webtv.un.org. 1 year on, the Zone and the dialogues it has showcased are clear examples of how the SDGs are moving from commitments on the SDGs to action, a living example of SDG 17, Partnerships for the Goals. And on that note, I'd like to hand over to Peter Thomson, President of the United Nations General Assembly, to talk about the highlights from this week's General Assembly and his vision for the 71st session. There you have the floor.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Look, can I start by congratulating everybody who's involved in getting this tent together and everything that's happened in here. Well done. I think you should give yourselves a round of applause. You know, I have been updated daily by Dan about what's been going on down here, and it's fantastic, the number of people you've got through here and the breadth of people, you know, a very different cast of characters, so congratulations on that. And I sort of wonder, well, in my naivety, because I obviously haven't heard about the costs involved, that it would be just great to have this thing here as a permanent feature, you know, where people could just come and get across their messages. And but we need to look at something like that, where within this great place, because let me tell you why I think we should have something like that. As I look at the implementation of the SDGs, which, as you know, is what I've placed at the center of the 71st session. You know, there are obviously, you know, big things like finding the trillions of dollars involved that we need for this, which, you know, we're addressing. But communication is such a huge element in the success of the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda. And I'm not sure whether I should repeat myself, but you all know that the stakes are very, very high on the achievement of the agenda and the achievement of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. I've looked at it very hard, you know, over the last 2 or 3 years that I've been involved in this process. I'm utterly convinced as a grandfather that if we don't achieve this agenda, that we really are placing the future of our species on this planet in jeopardy. I've been involved in development all my life. I've got a postgraduate degree from Cambridge in development, but when I left university and went out to start working in the field on development, in my case as a rural development officer, you know, putting up seawalls and digging pit latrines and putting in small village water supplies, development was always a bit of a mystery to me, you know, in spite of being trained in it. I just thought, well, what's this really all about? Because I'd fly over the same villages that I'd been working in for years, you know, a decade, 2 decades later, I'd fly over and look down on the plain and the village is gone, completely gone. Why? What happened? We put in the road, all the kids got on the trucks and went to town, so the old people had to follow them into town too. And, you know, that urban drift which you see all around the world is what happened. And so I was thinking, well, maybe I picked the wrong career, you know, what was all that development about? But then when we got to form this 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda, I finally got it, you know, which is that it's got to be integrated, first of all. You know, all the parts have to fit together, from infrastructure to jobs to sanitation to, you know, your health to the health of your water supplies, the health of your ocean. Everything fits together, and of course climate change, the big one that rules them all. So this agenda is something worth fighting for. It really is. It's the best that humanity can come up with as a master plan for our survival. what I have found as I go around the world talking to people is that the governments and the national planners have taken on board the agenda. They've absorbed it, they've looked at it, and they thought, wow, this is just like a perfect election manifesto for a government, or this is a perfect, 5-year plan for a country. So they've absorbed it, and it's part of the national plans. But the other thing that I've found is that humanity is unaware of it. I mean, I don't know what figure you want to guess at, but my guess would be 95% of humanity is unaware of the SDGs. Right? That's my guess. And that's from personal polling. I talked to the people on the plane, I talked to the taxi driver, I talked to the hotel clerk, I talked to educated people and members of my family, and nobody in the last year that I've been doing my personal poll has ever heard of the SDGs. So we have a major job to do in that regard, and that's communication. And that's where tents like this are so important. That's why Ambassador Williams and her team in my office, the 10 of them, communications will be like 25% of their game plan will be about how we're going to communicate. We've got to use the strategic weaponry of social media the wisest way we possibly can. But I have, for every head of delegation that I've met, from presidents and prime ministers to ministers, I've said, please go back to your countries and get the teaching of the SDGs into your school curriculums, because it's the youth who are going to inherit the 230 agenda, and it's the youth who have got the most skin in the game. Once they learn what these SDGs are, they will be the ones who will champion the implementation and achievement of the SDGs. It's about their survival and then their kids' survival when they become adults. So they'll be the ones who'll be driving their parents. What are you doing about this? Why aren't we getting this? There's 17 goals, Mum and Dad. Don't you know about this? I remember from when my 13-year-old daughter started educating me on recycling garbage. And as an adult, I hadn't thought about it till my 13-year-old, back in probably the 80s that was, told me what we should be doing. So education, I think, is absolute key message for me as I finish up this week. And I'm getting signals from the back of the room saying that I've got to go to the next meeting. So I want to leave you again with that huge vote of thanks for everything that was put together here, and I know how much work went into it. So congratulations to you all. Let's do it again next year, but let's think about stuff we can do between now and next year in the communication side of things. But this is where the game will be won. The battle will be won in our ability to communicate to humanity on the importance of the 230 Sustainable Development Agenda. Thank you very much.